So the Cedar Point 150 Years the Fun is Just the Beginning is a coffee table style book that commemorates Cedar Point's past. The book is pretty much, it's made up of over 150 pages and it costs $50 to buy at Cedar Point, and it costs $55 online. That is included with shipping. So that is the price for it. And after weeks of waiting, I finally got my book just a few days ago. So today I'm going to be reviewing it. And so for those of you watching right now, that's going to be what I'm doing. And for those of you watching later after this stream, I will have timestamps because you might see that this video is like really long. But I'll have like timestamps for specifically the review portion. But I will be doing a segment where I will be answering the questions from my live viewers about the book after I go over this review. So with that said, let's get started, and I will get started with the delivery aspect of the book. And it's kind of, so the delivery, I wouldn't really talk about this too much if I didn't have really much of an issue with it. But unfortunately, in my case, there was some things here that I wasn't exactly the most impressed with. The book was supposed to arrive at the latest 14 days after I ordered it. It actually ended up arriving 20 days after I ordered it. May have not necessarily been the park's fault. There was like kind of just mail was kind of slow. There's things going on there. So maybe not entirely the park's fault. And the book, when it finally came, I found it in a pretty badly packaged bag with a rip, and it was poorly bubble wrapped, which I actually have the thing here. Pretty much like I didn't mess with it too much, but like there's like a tear here, and it was like straight up like this coming here, and it was kind of just not really well done. So that was unfortunate. So there was that. And then the book itself, the cover for it, like the paper cover, it actually looks fine, like probably on camera. But for me, I was maybe I was expecting a little too much, but when you pay $55, I would expect it to look pretty nice, like about as nice as you could expect. But I already saw there was like scuffs on the cover here, some tears, and even the physical book has some bumps, which it's unfortunate. So yeah, but anyways, so there was that. And then the whole replacement thing, that is kind of like still a work in progress, but it does appear that they will be cooperative with me in terms of getting me a replacement. So that is good, but we'll kind of wait and see on that. I'll do a community post going over like kind of what happened with that situation, but it looks like they are cooperative with that. So I am thankful for that if they actually go through with it, but it sounds like they're going to be willing to do it, which is good. Just because when you pay some like $55, you want to have a book that's in good condition, or in the best condition possible, because I have actually another coffee table style book that is in better condition. Then this one was like coming right out of the box, and I've had this one for like almost a decade. So yeah. But anyways, I'm pretty sure I had like a sticky note over the address. So yeah, but anyways, so yeah, the delivery, it is something to be wary of, especially if you want a book that looks really nice. Because obviously it being a coffee table style book, a lot of people will probably be like, oh, okay, you want to get something that looks really nice. And if you're getting it online, the delivery of it, I'll update like in the email, not in the email, well, in the community post on a written review, if the one I get, the replacement, looks better. I assume it will be, because I haven't heard this too much as a complaint. I'm just going to assume that this one, mine, was kind of like just one that kind of was like an outlier in terms of like how it was delivered. But yeah, so in my case, the delivery wasn't great. And it is something to think about if you're going to buy this book, especially if you want something that looks really nice. Now, the next thing I will go into is the presentation of the book, and I'm looking at it like pretty much undamaged, pretty much as if it were undamaged, basically, in my case. And the front cover, it looks pretty solid. I'll bring it out here. It looks pretty solid, pretty nice. I do kind of wish they incorporated more gold because it seems like they have too much blue. Yeah, the cover looks pretty nice. I like it. And then for the backside of this paper cover, you have this looks really nice actually. You have the fireworks and the giant wheel, and you have the seal here and kind of a description. Looks pretty nice. And of course you have the tag with like the $50 or whatever. $50 price tag. Now, if you take off the I guess the paper cover, you have actually, I'm gonna make sure I do this right because I don't want to mess this up here. So if you were to take off or something were to happen to this, I guess, paper cover, you have this you have the physical book, obviously. And I'm a little, I was a little less impressed with this. Obviously, mine had physical bumps on it toward the top and even like here. But even looking at it without that, it kind of seems a little cheap, especially compared to like some of my other coffee table style books. Which, like I said, if nothing happens to your like paper cover, it really doesn't matter. But if something were to happen, it's not something that I think would look the best on a table. In the back of it, pretty basic as well. Not really anything too shiny. I think there might be some glare from my light, which sorry about that, but that's just kind of be how it is. So that's the presentation pretty much for the, I guess, book in terms of the outside. The inside, it looks really good. The pictures look great. And everything, the colors of the text, everything, it's very readable and very well done. I guess I'll go to a random page here. If you guys can see, I don't know if you can see it super well. There's a bit of glare, unfortunately. I hope I was like looking if I was holding this upside down. I don't know if you can see that too well, but yeah, this it does look pretty good on the inside, so that is definitely a good thing. That you can definitely tell they put in a lot of effort in making it look good with the text and the pictures and how it was laid out. So that is probably one of the more important things, honestly. So they did that and they excelled at it. So for the presentation, the cover looks nice. The physical book leaves a little to be desired, and the inside, like how they did the text, the color of the text and just how it's laid out is very good. So presentation overall is pretty good. I just would have liked a little better if they had a better, I guess, physical cover besides the paper. So in terms of the content, this is basically the main thing why you guys will probably want to get the book. The book, it goes over the history and different aspects of Cedar Point with some cool and fun facts along the way. Also, the book is very picture based. There will even be some pages that have just pictures and no words. I think most of those are toward the end of the book, but you will have some of those pages there. And the one good thing about this is for the, I guess, text, the content, there's never like too much. It doesn't feel like too long to read on any page, which is a good thing because like it's pretty well divided. It doesn't ever feel boring to read, which is a very good thing. So all right, so there in the book, it features 14 different sections or chapters of varying lengths, and I'll kind of go just kind of describe each one just pretty shortly. I'm not going to spoil anything, but the first section is called In the Beginning, and this is a very short one that lets the reader know what Cedar Point was like back in 1870, and it's also the introduction to the book. Pretty basic, pretty simple, and it's like basically like 2 pages. So yeah. The second section is called How Fun Evolved, and this is a multi-page timeline that I thought was really cool. All the dates here are correct. I'll kind of go into something else that you'll understand why I'm saying that. But yes, the timeline, very nice. The third section goes into the history of Cedar Point. It's called A History Like No Other. Like I said, the park's history basically goes from 1870 to 1960 and goes through different events that were important. And also highlights important people in the park's history, events, buildings, hotels, transportation, the beach, and past attractions. So there's a lot here that I really didn't know about. Some of you may know about some of these things, but I did not. And so this is one of the more interesting sections to me because I didn't know a whole lot about this before. So that section I thought was really well done, really cool. The fourth section is called Stay Overnight, Play All Day. And this part of the book was dedicated to the hotels and resorts surrounding Cedar Point. I think they also mentioned the marina. It's mostly present stuff. They do mention some past things, but it was mostly present stuff. So that was the fourth section. The fifth section is named Famous Roles of All Kinds. And this section gives facts, descriptions, and some history to both some of the current and past attractions. So it doesn't have a whole lot of information probably that you wouldn't know. But it is still a cool section, highlights some of the rides of the current and the past, both coasters and other attractions. So yeah. The sixth section is called Live Entertainment for All Generations. And this one actually surprised me because this is actually the longest. It is the longest section of the book. It is 16 pages. So pretty surprising, but it actually makes a lot of sense when you read it. There are actually a lot of like interesting shows and things that the park used to have that they no longer have. And they do have still like some current things. So that was actually pretty interesting to kind of see that because I didn't really know what there was in terms of shows, theater, celebrations, and characters. That's kind of what they go into with that section. But yeah, the blueprints in the book are it's in a later section, so I'll be getting there. The seventh section is called Taste Bud Tempting Park Eats and Treats, and it goes into the classic food items, but it is mostly focused on the restaurants of both present and past and the evolution of the restaurants. Like some of them, it shows what they used to be and what they are now. So I thought that was really cool. But this section did kind of disappoint me because I was expecting it to be like it would show a lot of like the classic foods. It shows a few of them, but not a whole lot. I think maybe they felt like that would be too much of an advertisement, but also I would have liked to see like past food items that maybe they don't have now. I'm sure they had some pretty interesting looking stuff, but they don't really highlight it too much in this section. It's still interesting. It's just that's something I guess I would have liked to see for that. So the eighth section out of the 14 is called Days of Old in a New Frontier. This one is all about Frontier Town, but it does go into more of the, I guess, themed and older aspects of the area, including older attractions and things you can see and do in the area, like Fort Sandusky, for example, is one of the things they highlight in there, and a few other things that aren't necessarily rides, though they do have some rides in there. But it is mostly about Frontier Town, and they actually don't really talk about in this section any of the newer Frontier Town rides or attractions. And by that, I mean anything built after like 2000. So it is more, I guess, focused on like the older part of Frontier Town, and also like more, there are some rides, but it's more focused on like Frontier Town itself. So that's that section. The ninth section is called Ideas and Designs That Shape the Point, and this is the one that has the blueprints and the concept art and the artwork of the coasters, and it has a few other things in here too. This is honestly one of the, I guess, coolest sections in the entire book. Just seeing like the blueprints, it's really awesome. Just seeing, I guess, the concept art, that a lot of it I had never seen. It was just really cool. But there is some things that I think this book could have done a little better with this section, actually. They actually mention at the beginning that the planning and design department have faced a lot of challenges when designing and building coasters and other attractions, but the book actually barely mentions any of the challenges, which I thought was something they could have done a little better. And also the book mentions how the logos go through multiple designs before they pick a final one. And they actually do show a few of the unused logos in this section, which I think is really awesome. It was actually one of the things that like intrigued me the most. but they only did like used, I guess, or showed the unused logos in this section a few times. And I was like, man, there's so many rides and so many things I would have loved to see, like what the past logo designs or the ones they never used looked like. And I thought it was kind of a missed opportunity. But I guess for this book, because it's more focused on like pretty much Cedar Point as a whole than just the rides and the coasters. I can kind of understand why they didn't like make like a huge section for unused logos. But I think it's something that was a really cool thing to kind of go over. And I just kind of wish they did it a little more. So yeah. And that's that section. One of the better sections, in my opinion. Like I said, the blueprints, the concept art, the unused logos, all really cool and interesting stuff. But it's like there are some things, like I said, that could have been executed a little better, but still really cool section. One of my favorites in the book. The 10th section is called Going Big. No, sorry, Going First, Going Big. And here the book shows the record-breaking rides at Cedar Point, that some of which still hold records, others of which now no longer do. And it basically shows pictures of these record-breaking rides with a description. So, and also, I guess, what record they have or had, and a few extra facts basically along with them. Not really anything here. Like, it's cool to see the rides, of course. They have some high quality pictures here, but not really. There wasn't really anything here that I didn't really know. So, yeah. The 11th section is called Another Reason to Scream in the Park, which is all about Halloween weekends, as it has descriptions of a few different events and attractions that take place during Halloween weekends. This one's a lot more picture based, not a whole lot of text here. And actually, they don't really go over the mazes much. I think they were trying to stay more family friendly. So I would have been kind of interested a little more if they went into more of the mazes. They go into different things like shows, some of the, I guess, more family friendly Halloween events, and they do talk about one maze, but for the most part, it's just kind of it's just kind of, I guess, I almost would call it like almost like a preview or something of Halloween weekends, but it's still pretty cool. The 12th section is called The Point Beneath the Winter Snow, and it has a description of the off season and basically the maintenance and upkeep during then. That they have like basically one page where they kind of go over that, and then the rest of the section is a photo gallery. So there's basically no words, just a lot of pictures of the rides in the snow, and I guess the park in the snow for that matter. The 13th section is called Moments of Fun Captured in Time, which is a photo gallery of the rides in the park, pretty much all pictures here. And then the 14th and final section is named Shaping the Future of America's Roller Coaster, which looks toward the future. And yeah, it looks, I guess it looks more into the future, like what the park is planning to do for the future. Kind of like, I guess it doesn't really hint anything, but it kind of like they kind of like tell you what they're kind of going for. But I don't mean like for rides and stuff, just I guess kind of their focus for the future. And it also has a few guest predictions of the future, and that ends the book. Oh, and I guess no, and it also shows what's supposed to come in 2021, and then yes, that ends the book. So 14 sections in total, like I mentioned. And I enjoyed a lot of these sections. I thought this book was really cool and really good to look through and read. I think I'll go into my, I guess, recommendation a little later. But yeah, it's really good. I really enjoyed reading it. So yeah, I guess let's see. The book, as you might have been able to tell, it focuses on the entire park of Cedar Point. And I think this is a good thing because when we first heard about this book, it was, I feel like it was almost being teased as like a roller coaster book. And that's not really what I would say this book is. This is more for a Cedar Point fan than it is necessarily for a coaster enthusiast. Like, there's still some cool things in here. But I think it's more for someone who's a fan of Cedar Point, or someone who, I actually would recommend this book for someone who hasn't been to Cedar Point, because I think there's some things in here that I would have liked to know that I didn't know heading into Cedar Point. And I think just kind of having the idea of like some of the history of the park would be really cool for you to kind of know when you're going in for your first visit. So yeah. we're going for that. That is, I guess, what I have to say about the man. Shoot, I lost myself for a little bit. I'm reading off something, but let's see. I'm reading off of notes. Like I'm kind of like going along, but yeah. Um, yes. Okay. A few other things I noticed is that there are quotes that show up from park guests every few pages, which is cool as you hear their experiences or what they thought about different aspects of the park or attractions. I did not see a quote from any well-known coaster enthusiast, by the way. Like I could have missed them, but I did not see like a quote from a coaster enthusiast. If you were wondering about that, but there are like quotes here and there on every few pages from guests, which I think is pretty cool. I think it's a good thing. Like I said, I think this is more of a book for Cedar Point fans than it is for roller coaster enthusiasts, and that's just I'm gonna say that again, but later. But that's kind of what I'm trying to go for, I guess, or what I'm trying to tell you. If you're considering buying this book, this is more for someone who really likes Cedar Point, and that's pretty much, like I said, yeah, that's what this book is more for, not necessarily a coaster enthusiast book. I kind of alluded to this earlier. There are sadly a few mistakes in terms of information in this book. Anything relating to 2020 editions pretty much is incorrect. That's not really the park's fault. That's just kind of how it is. A page says that Pipe Scream opened in 2015. As we all know, it actually opened in 2014, and it actually says that on the timeline. And a page says that Skyhawk opened in 2008, and it actually opened in 2006. And once again, it says it's on the timeline, so I'm a little surprised that they weren't able to see this and fix this before they printed everything. And then a page mentions that B&M created the first suspended looping coaster, which is technically correct, but they later call Raptor an inverted looping coaster, which I'm just kind of like, I would have rather they should have been more consistent, I guess. But I guess those are some of the mistakes. Not really anything like too bad. It's just like some things I kind of noticed. I don't really think there was too much else like got messed up. I think these were actually pointed out on Twitter also. So like a few of these. So it's kind of annoying, but it's not like a deal breaker for me at all, especially because, like I said, they have the correct dates in the timeline. They just kind of messed up on certain pages, which is just kind of sad. Not sad, I guess, but it is kind of unfortunate, but it's fine. It's not really anything that is that big of a deal. And I kind of mentioned this earlier, but the book, it never feels too word heavy, and the book can actually be read relatively quickly. It doesn't take too long to read. I think I could have read it like within probably like an hour and a half. But I kind of split it up into 2 days. I read 75 pages in one day. Not 75, but like half the book in one day and half the book another day. So for my first read, then I of course went through it. So pretty much my, I guess, verdict for this, for the content. While the book, it does feature some mistakes, and in some sections, it does feel a little too short. The content is still excellent, and there is a lot of information about various aspects of Cedar Point that I didn't know before, which is great. And just there's a lot of information just in general, which is good. And also, like I said, the book, it never felt boring for me to like read it, which is a really good thing. And the book, it does do a very good job at mixing in the pictures and the text. So the content here, very good. And it kind of shows you, because obviously with me, I didn't have the best first impression. Never judge a book by its cover. Literally in this case. But yeah, so like I said, for my recommendation, that's what I'm going to go into. If you want something that looks really nice, and like that, if it doesn't like come in and look really nice when it like comes in for delivery, like you want a really nice looking coffee table style book, and that's like your big emphasis, then I don't know that I could suggest this book for you, just because, like I said, mine didn't come in the best of condition, and if anything were to happen to your cover, I don't really like how the physical thing actually looks. But otherwise, if you are a big fan of Cedar Point, I think this is something you should definitely get. Like this is a must buy, honestly, if you are a big fan of Cedar Point. If you could get it at the park, that would probably be best. If not, I'm pretty sure for the most part they handle online pretty well, like in terms of delivery. It's just in my case, they didn't do the best job. I don't have too many concerns about that. Like I said, we'll kind of see how the replacement goes. But that is I would definitely recommend it if you are a big fan of Cedar Point. If you are a coaster enthusiast, I think if you are interested in the different aspects of Cedar Point, I would recommend this book also. And even if you haven't been, like I said, if you are interested in like the history of the park and the different aspects of the park outside of the coasters, I think this book is definitely something you should consider getting. And I honestly think it would be something that would be good to get. Just because I think it'll give you some things to kind of respect when you're actually at the park during your visit. So yeah, and then like I said earlier, if you're looking for a book that is mostly focused on the coasters at Cedar Point, this is not the book for you. I'm just gonna straight up tell you because this focuses on a lot more things. It has a it looks at a lot of things, not just coasters. So yeah, this is definitely not a coaster enthusiast book. Uh, and actually, a suggestion I have. I actually, when I was reading this book in certain sections, I did think that it would be really cool if Cedar Point did make a book like specifically about their coasters, about the both, I guess, the present ones and the past ones, because it seems like they have a lot of cool stuff. They have like never before seen sketches, unused logos, inside info about the rides, like they mentioned, like I said, in that one section about how the design team, they had to overcome challenges during both the design phase and the construction phase. I would have liked to know, like, I guess I would like to know what were those challenges. It would be kind of interesting to have like some more inside info. So if they were, I would love to see them like release a coaster book. I'd get that immediately. Um, but yeah. So that would be like something I would love to see. So I guess with all of that said, you've heard my recommendations, you've heard my review. I will open this up now to questions. So there we go. That is the review portion of it. So any questions you guys have, let me know right now about the book, and I'll try my best to answer them. I don't know my review. I know I stumbled a bit, but I hope that I did a good enough job to at least help you guys a little bit. I actually also have a link to the book in the description. Cedar Point actually just came out with their online shop just a few days ago, so it's available on there now. Where am I going to keep the book? I'm honestly probably I'm probably gonna put it on basically this table. We have like a few coffee table style books on there. I think I'm gonna probably put it there. And if not, I probably will have it here in this room where I like record everything. But I don't think I'm gonna put it on like a shelf. I'm gonna have it somewhere where it can be seen, I guess, if that makes sense. So probably just a table somewhere in my house. But yeah. Let's see. Does it say Maverick as a Tara coaster? No, it doesn't mention that. Not at least that I have seen. Does it mention the really tall coaster planned for the back of the park in 2011? No, it doesn't. Like I said, if they did a coaster book, this book is definitely not a coaster enthusiast book. But if they were to do one, like I'd buy that thing as soon as they announced it. Like it would be amazing. Like I would love to see that. How much did I pay with shipping? $55. That is what I paid with shipping. Back when it was on the Cedar Point, I guess when you had to buy it through like the same system as the tickets and stuff, it was $55. So that's how much I paid. Did the unused logo section have the Banshee logo? I actually kind of figured this would be a question. They actually didn't, which I was a little surprised with, but I think it's something that people know about now. I kind of was surprised that they didn't have that. But they have some that we've never seen, like that I don't think anyone's ever seen though, which is pretty cool. Especially when it came to Cedar Point, like their park logos, there are some on there that were kind of cool, and others that were like, wow, thank God they didn't use this. Like it looks not, it doesn't look very good. um, it was just kind of funny looking through that, and they have some other unused logos. I don't want to go spoil it too much, but yeah.